Hello, guys. This is Mr. Cole. We are continuing on today with the presidency of George H.W. Bush, who was president from 1989 to 1993. If you remember, yesterday we talked about his role of leading us through the end of the Cold War. But today we're going to talk about an actual war the United States was involved in called Operation Desert Storm. It is also known as the Persian Gulf War. Please make sure that you add that in there, Persian Gulf War. With this, where we're dealing at, we're once again in the Middle East. Okay, and the Middle East is the area kind of between Africa and Asia, as well as between Europe, which is up here, and Asia. Now, we've already talked about the Middle East. We talked about the country of Israel and some of the issues that Israel has with some of the Muslim nations that surround them. Once again, America will get embroiled into a conflict in the Middle East as a result of oil. Now, it's called the Persian Gulf War because right here is the Persian Gulf, and it deals with the two countries on the Persian Gulf, which is Iraq and Kuwait. Okay. Now, Iraq in 1990 was led by Saddam Hussein, and Saddam Hussein, due to a number of issues, decided to invade Kuwait. Primarily due to Kuwait's role in selling us oil. Kuwait sells America a ton of oil, and Iraq wanted to kind of take over that oil supply. And they also had some other conflicts and stuff as well. Now, this is a big issue. Now, Kuwait is a tiny little city, right? Tiny little country. But you will notice to its south, Saudi Arabia is a massive country in the Middle East, and a massive country that is extremely important to us because they also sell us oil. And so we were worried that Iraq would continue taking over the oil supply in the Middle East. So George H.W. Bush goes to the United Nations and asks for a coalition of forces to invade into Kuwait to drive the Iraqis out. And the UN gives approval. So an international coalition of a ton of nations begin what is called Operation Desert Storm, which is the invasion of Kuwait, trying to drive out Iraq. And here's one of the famous images of it. It was extremely successful invasion, extremely successful war in the Persian Gulf. They were able to liberate Kuwait in only 5 days and begin driving the Iraqis out. Now, this picture is pretty cool. They lit the oil wells are on fire. The Iraqis, as they were escaping, were ordered to light the oil on fire to try and destroy some of the oil that would eventually go to the United States. So with this, now the war ends as Iraq leaves. So the United Nations and decided that we would only drive Iraqi back, that we would not actually invade into Iraq. So the war ends with basically where it started, right? Iraq's in Iraq, the Kuwait's liberated. But obviously there are going to be major issues with the country of Iraq. Iraq will look for ways to have weapons to help better protect themselves. And there's still quite a bit of tension between Iraq and the United States, which we will get into in a future war later on. But with that, that's the Persian Gulf War. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.